Well, Sunday afternoon, get some work done. I find that I need to make a list before I start the day to make sure I stay on track. Because otherwise I get going and then I'll change gears, I'll see something else that needs to be done, and I'll start working on that, and then I'll see something else, and then start working on that. So I keep doing these loops. So if I write down, 4 or 5 things, I can try to stay focused on those and try to get some things done. Because otherwise, I got lots of projects sort of in the works. But so it's been helpful to have some notes as I go along. So what we're working on today is getting the trailer still ready. I did reinstall the wheel well, which took a little bit of work trying to get that lined up. It took a little bit more than I had expected, but in order to get the wheel well in, I had to move the cabinets back out. I had to detach them from here. But before I detached them, I wanted to make sure to keep the wall level. So I put in some ceiling supports, and then I keep checking my width using a easy stick. So it's got my 7'8½", which is the internal dimension of the trailer. At least in the front. In the back, it's 78.25. But at least up front, I can check and make sure that I'm keeping the same width here. I also check for vertical. I've got my plumb lines lined in here. And I keep pulling out the level. So trying to keep it pretty squared up. So putting the wheel wells back in, I puttied up the holes that I originally screwed in there. Then I had to sand those down. Like I said, I had to pull this off. Oh, looks like I gotta redo some paint here. Oh well, that's the way it goes. I had to take the cabinets back out, get the wheel well back in, and I need to make sure that it was flush up against the wall. But I also wanted to make sure there wasn't a big gap beneath the flooring between the wheel well and the floor. So I had to make sure that this part was pulled out while that part was pushed in, and there's a little bit of a trick doing that one person. It wedged some things up between the wheel and the internal part of the wheel well. All right, so that's going. What I also decided is this brown backing board. I only cut it for the lower part here because up here was originally some Formica, the same as this Formica on the kitchen counter. But what I'm going to do is a little different backsplash. So what I'm going to go get some more backing board, and I'll run it all the way up to the ceiling, and then I'll actually install a different type of backsplash for that. I've got a neat idea to do something unique. So like I said, I keep my plumb lines so I can keep checking that I'm close to vertical on the walls. Again, this trailer was not built square, so I know I'm making adjustments, but I've got to be pretty close is the way I figure it. Notice I put in a lot of wedges down here for the cabinets because I'm going to tile underneath the cabinets. So I want to make sure that they're at the right height when I'm starting to attach them to the framing. So watching the weather, seeing if I can get the flooring in. But the other part that I worked on that I'm glad I sort of waited on was I rebuilt the door framing. Now, I'm not done here, but I needed to get this pieced back together because what I want is to run the seam of the flooring in the middle of the door. And this is what I had originally, but then I realized I marked that off from the middle, from the edge of the wood here to this piece actually here. And I realized I had this whole other part that I had to build out. And so now that I built that out, you can see I actually need to move that mark over about 1/2 inch so it ends up in the middle. Crazy with some of the details, but trying to do a good job. and yeah, trying to hold all together. So right now I've got the framing just clamped down, and the reason is I still need to condition the framing. I want to polish it, clean it up a bit. It's a bit of a mess. There's a chance I'll replace some of it, but I'm going to try to use as much as I can. Even this piano hinge, I've lubed it up a bit, so hopefully it works a little bit better. It's not as tight, but I will, I've got it all matched up, so the holes of the hinge match with the hole of the framing. There's actually 3 pieces of metal here: the hinge, this side of the framing, and then this side of the framing. So hinge, this side, and this side. And so I really was going a little bit crazy because I just did not take enough pictures of the framing, but I had some pictures that I was able to zoom in on, and then it was just like a jigsaw puzzle trying to put it all back together. But I'm feeling pretty good about where that's at. Feeling like the door is going to fit, so that's going good. So then the other part that I worked on is I rebuilt the back door almost. This is the back door that goes on the rear of the trailer and opens up into the storage. So this side I haven't done anything with, and that is something I'm worried about because I don't know if I needed to take the framing off, then strip the paint off, but we'll see. I wanted to practice on this because I know I'm going to work on the front door, and I wanted to try to get a good sense for how to do it. And I wasn't too worried if I was going to have to redo this. So I rebuilt the frame inside this door. It's some framing. Puts fiberglass back in, and then I cut a new piece of birch, and actually I shellacked that. That actually looks pretty nice. And I've got it clamped right now because this metal I got to bang down pretty good, but I also need the twisty nails to try to hold them down. But I'm not putting those twisty nails in until I know I've got it set and where I want it to be. And then the last thing I was working on is just rebuilding the icebox. This gasket, I know I'm going to have to probably put some silicone in. I'm going to try to stave it, but then I need to screw it back in. I need to find all these screws to be able to reattach this to the metal framing. And I'm just going to clean that out. I may put that in at least to start with. I do want to replace it with an actual refrigerator. Remember, this is just an ice box, so you put your block of dry ice or something on a shelf up here, and that will keep it cool. And here's the hinge, the piano hinge for this. I spent a lot of time straightening this out. Yeah, it doesn't look straight, but it's actually a lot straighter than what it was. And I'll be able to attach this back over to the door once I have my twisty nails. All right, and then the last thing that sort of working on is what I'm doing is taking some of the old wood that I've pulled off, and my idea is I've cut it down. This is not one that I've cut down, but I've cut it down and into small pieces, and I'm going to try to make a butcher block for either the table. I might replace the kitchen countertop with it, but we'll see if I can actually make that happen. So just another side project as we go along. All right, so doing pretty good, and now all I'm doing is watching the weather to be able to get the flooring in, and if it warms up enough, I'm gonna lay the adhesive down and put the tiles in, and hopefully it all works out. All right, thanks.